Welcome to the stone hands, to the hands of stone in the peak of nature. This day I will tell 3 things that help me to relax and find my center. And first one is quite obvious because I'm in the midst of Scotch pine trees. So being in a forest and being in the midst of nature, I find my calm, I find the relaxation, I find ease and a moment of stillness and everlasting beingness. I am aware of my own self and I am aware of the nature. Some people are more intuitive and more sensitive to the vibrations coming from the cosmos and from the earth. Like there was this crazy guy from Finland, Heikki, who traveled across the globe, who did many great things for the benefit of humankind. For example, the World Clean-up Day, the International Clean-up Day. He was one of the main organizers, the one who brought it to the politicians and to the he was the spokesperson of the cause. And he told that in the 70s and 60s when he was growing up, he felt every atomic explosion that happened on the earth. Every time when the governments were testing atomic weapons, he felt it in his spine, those explosions. So he was hypersensitive to the earth, to the sensations that he received from the earth. And some people are more sensitive to the radiation and to the magnetic fields. Like I can sense the fields around me and what's going on. I even used to write soul messages to the people. It was a great offering. I had so much work that I could not provide to each one a message. Actually, I wrote lately one as well, but then I felt like it's too much and I increased the price to twice, the double that it used to be before. Just for the reasons that I'm doing so much stuff with my hands, building and doing different content creation than before, and I decided I shall not do it anymore. But in the midst of the nature, I find this pleasure, I find this calmness and stillness, and I can listen. I can listen to the sounds of the nature, to the birds. Today it's quite quiet, and I can see the sun. But when it's cloudy, it's still beautiful. When it's rainy, it's powerful. It's cleansing. Like we did a retreat a few years ago in the southern Estonia, in the midst of the forests. Many people who are abroad somewhere in the world cannot understand a forest, as we have so many forests over here that the people who come from the Western Europe or Central EU, they are amazed. You have so many forests, bogs and swamps over here. And for us, it's so normal. Yes, what do you mean? Like our government has been doing more clear cutting than before, and people get so angry because we are so sensitive to the earth and what is going on with the forests. And the second thing where I find my ease and calmness is in creation and in music. When I play guitar, I can play guitar for many hours in a row, non-stop. I can play it 2 hours, 3 hours, and I just let myself being swallowed by the music. The music guides me, the music speaks through me. I am a mediator. I am a medium of music. as I play gongs and crystal bows, and as I sing my songs, and as I do overdone singing, I also get transformed with this sense of ease and calm, and I find this world more sensible for me. It's beautiful. I've seen many great musicians come to us on stage and they transform the crowd, and the great beautiful atmosphere and the transcendence is released. And I had to learn for a long time that there is some word in the music, that the music that I am creating has got the same capabilities as people who come on a stage and perform a huge arena show. And funny thing is, third place where I find my calm and ease is in the silence, when I'm in the mode of listening. And I don't mean by listening to music or something, but by listening to the waves, for example, to the birds, to someone speaking in a well-mannered way, with a beautiful voice and the words and the rhythm, that I get transformed, I get inspired, and I find a story. I begin to see vivid images of the nature, of the past and the present and the future. I become daydreaming. That's one of the most beautiful things when I'm listening, when I'm hearing someone articulating their words in the most beautiful manner. And I strive for it. I think it's my life's work to learn to speak in the most profound and beautiful way that is ever possible. But it takes time, it takes practice, it takes audiences, and it takes courage, and it takes the dedication for the art of mastery, to the art of the spoken word, where the rhythm is able to transcend the listener through the stories and through the vivid images. And still, there's a lot to learn from the storytelling. Telling a great story is the way of transforming a life and giving a deeper meaning to a person who is listening. And also the speaker transforms, owns imagination and owns perception about the reality and about the layers that one is perceiving. So great lectures have an ability to transform lives, and great spokespersons can give new hope to the ones that have lost their hope, to the hopeless. I remember when I went to a course of storytelling, and it was the real stories, the tales, the fairy tales throughout the times and eons that have been encaptured in the human psyche. Nowadays, it's more about the storytelling to sell some product or give a chance for some who have not been heard to be heard. So it's more like about the personal stories. More narrow is the quality. When I was a little child, I read so much. I read all the mythologies of the great Soviet Empire. There were hundreds of different peoples and their native stories that I read about in those booklets. And the book that helped me to understand the written word was about the Greek mythology with great pictures. And I was drawn into the world of mythology and into the ancient world. And still, when I heard the words Asgard, Valhalla, when I remember that I am a Viking and my forefathers and mothers were the great Varanians, the great Finno-Ugric Russians, and I don't mean Russians by nowadays Russian definition that who speak Russian. No, Finno-Ugric people, the Finns, the great Finns who were the real Vikings. Yes, and their stories and their lost empires of Kalevala and so on. I'm still taken by those themes. And when I look at the paintings of Röhrig, Nikolai Röhrig, who traveled across the world and created one of the great artworks to the world, I'm drawn. And near our home is a city where Röhrig used to spend his summers in the great Russian Empire. And from his and when I think about it, that from his summer home he went to long journeys, even to India and Nepal. From here, from our small country, and he went there so far away and came back again. So it gives me hope that each one of us is able to do that. There was this man, Barefoot Tunison, who was a Buddhist monk from Estonia. Yes, he lived in the 1920s and onward, and he went barefoot, traveled to the Tibet, and he was converted into a monk, and he came back here and started teaching. And later in his life he disappeared, and it said that he went to the samadhi, to the forever lasting meditation. So that's also a fascinating story, that from this small country someone is able to go to the far end of the world and come back. So hopefully you are feeling glad, and I wish you a very pleasant and a nice day by the seaside.